They say the dead don't speak, but I do. Not because I want to, but because I was never heard while I was alive. So let this be the voice I never got to raise. Let this be my scream. From 6 feet under. It began with a phone call Sunday afternoon, the kind of day when the world is quiet and you believe nothing can go wrong. Then the phone rang. A voice, shaky, cold and bleeding through the speaker. "You can't marry him," she said. "He's mine. I'm still bleeding from the 4th abortion I had for him." "And now you want to wear a white dress?" I laughed, but it wasn't funny. It was the kind of laugh people use to stop from screaming, because deep down, I knew I should have left. I should have run, but I loved him. And when a woman loves, she believes she can fix the fire without getting burned. This is the story of how I stayed and died for it. I was the firstborn of 5, the blueprint, the example. My parents raised me with love and pride. People called me soft, sweet, but they didn't see the girl hiding her tears in the shower, the girl who swallowed heartbreak with a smile because being the strong one meant never breaking. At 25, I met my first love. He was charming, attentive. He told me I was different, and God help me, I believed him. For 3 years, I gave him everything, my loyalty, my heart, and my silence. Then came the proposal. I wore the ring. I planned the future. I introduced him to my parents. And almost instantly, the man I loved began to disappear. In his place was someone else. A man who called his violence discipline. A man who vanished for nights without explanation. I told no one, not even when he slapped me for asking why, because I was in love, because the wedding was only days away. Then came the first call, the mother of his child, a child I never knew existed. "He lied to you. He lied to both of us." I called off the wedding. My heart shattered. The whispers came. I couldn't walk down the street without hearing my name like a curse. Even church became a courtroom of silent stares. Still, I told no one how deeply I was drowning. Because I was the eldest daughter, I had to be strong enough to die quietly. 4 years later, I was 29. All my friends were married. My mother kept asking, "Anna, you'll be 30 soon." But how could I explain that I was afraid of love? Afraid of myself? Afraid of becoming a fool again? Then came Daryl. Beautiful, smooth talking. The kind of man who knows how to find broken pieces and polish them just enough to look like a love. I ignored the red flags. I was tired of waiting, tired of being alone, tired of being the almost bride. When my family raised concerns, I told them to stop ruining my happiness. I cried, I fought, I screamed, "Let me be happy." But deep down, I think I knew. I just didn't care anymore. I needed this to work. I gave him my love, my money, my silence. Then, 8 days to the wedding, the second call. "You can't marry him," the woman sobbed. "He's mine. 4 years, 4 abortions. He told me he loved me last week." This time I didn't scream. I collapsed on my knees, holding my chest like my heart was trying to run away from me. But I didn't cancel the wedding, because how do you call off another one? How do you face the same people twice? How do you tell the world that lightning struck your heart in the same place? Twice. I stayed silent. Again, Daryl denied everything. Of course he did. He swore on his life. But something inside me died that night, and the rest of me followed slowly. The wedding was grand. I wore white. I danced. I smiled. I looked perfect in the photos. I took vows like I was standing on a cliff. For better, for worse. Little did they know, I had already stepped over the edge. After the wedding, He told my parent I was a virgin. I have kept myself from my husband. My father beamed with pride, but that night, I felt like I had sold myself to a man who didn't see me, only my image. It dawned on me just a few weeks after our wedding. He couldn't even afford our rent. My father paid for everything: the wedding, the apartment, the bed I would cry myself to sleep in. And then it began: the beatings, the shouting, the silence. He didn't want my sisters to visit. He didn't like me calling my mom. He said I was his wife now, that my loyalty belonged to him, not my family. Slowly, I drifted away from everyone I loved. I told them I was busy. I told them marriage was demanding. But really, I was hiding bruises and brokenness. I told everyone I was just busy with marriage. But I was hiding bruises on my thighs, on my arms, behind my smiles. When I lost my job, I lost what was left of his affection. He didn't even pretend to love me anymore. He would stay out late, come home drunk, and reek of cheap perfume and lies. I dared not ask questions. I dared not speak. The one time I confronted him, he hit me so hard I thought I would die. I lost the baby that night. Yes, I was pregnant and I miscarried on the cold floor of our kitchen, alone, crying into a towel just to muffle the screams. He walked over my blood like it was nothing. No tears, no remorse, just silence. I could have walked away. I should have gone back to my parents. Still, I stayed. I stayed because I believed love was supposed to be endured. I stayed because I was terrified of divorce. Because I thought leaving my marriage made me a failure. And worst of all, because I still loved him. When I got pregnant again, I prayed things would change. I hoped he would become the man I wanted so badly to see in him. And for a moment, he did. He stayed by me. Most nights, he smiled more. He said he was sorry for the past. I did everything I could to please him. I wanted the marriage to work. I wanted to prove to my friends, my family, that it could work. And it seemed like it was beginning to pay off until it was time. Time to go home to my parents for delivery. Our tradition. I begged him. I begged him to let me go home to my mother. It was safer, but he refused. He said if I left, I should never come back. Even when my mother came herself to take me home, I lied to her. I told her I was fine, that I couldn't leave, that Daryl needs me around. Her eyes filled with tears. She begged me. I smiled and told her everything was okay. She left, heartbroken. But the truth, I was scared. Scared that if I left, he'd bring another woman into our bed. Scared I'd lose him completely. I cried myself to sleep so many nights, with one hand on my belly, praying for my baby's safety, hoping things would change, hoping he would stop hitting me. I was 40 weeks gone when the pain started. Daryl had traveled to a church program. He left me heavy with life for a church program. I called him, crying, screaming. Something was wrong. I was bleeding. My stomach, tight, the pain, like fire tearing through me. By the time he returned, I was too weak to cry. He rushed me to the hospital. The doctor said, emergency C-section, immediately. I looked at him, begged him, but he said no. He said, you can do it naturally. C-sections are against my religious beliefs. They limit the number of children we can have, and it costs too much. My wife is strong. She can push. I could not believe my ears. I looked at him, pleading, searching his eyes for anything, the smallest flicker of care. I wasn't strong. I was dying. I begged for my mother, my sisters, my family. He refused, said he was a man. and he didn't need to burden my parents. I'd be okay, he said, and I believed him. I wanted to believe him, even in the pain. He moved me from one hospital to another, like a parcel, wasting precious time, the final hours of my life, until, finally, his family convinced him to sign. They say when you're about to die, your life flashes before your eyes, but that's not what happened to me. What I saw was everything I was about to lose. I remember the cold, not the room, me. It felt like something inside me was already dying before my body caught up. My hands trembled, not from the knife, but from regret. Regret so thick, it strangled my breath. I couldn't speak, but in my mind, I screamed, not from the pain, but from the truth. I chose a broken marriage over my survival. Daryl wasn't there, not beside me, not behind me. The room was crowded. Doctors barked orders like machines. They didn't speak to me, only over me. I wasn't a person anymore. I was a procedure. And in that blur of white coats and lights, I realized I was dying, and I was doing it alone. They were trying to save the baby. They cut into me, like I didn't exist anymore. But I was still in there, still fighting, still hoping to say goodbye to my family. But all I could do was let go, and I did. One breath, gone. I drifted. My body lay still below me, a hollow thing, surrounded by blood and desperation. I hovered above her, above me, and I wept, not for death, but for the choices I had made, the silence I swallowed, the bruises I hid, the warnings I ignored, the marriage that buried me. What was supposed to be a forever became just 2 years of sorrow, of hoping, of pain. Then I turned and saw the wreckage I left behind. Daryl was on his knees crying. My mother, folded into herself, rocking, whispering prayers into her torn scarf. My father, pacing, crying for the first time. My siblings, blank, wailing my brother, silent, as if my death stole his voice too. They didn't deserve this. None of them did. I didn't just die. I tore holes into the lives of those who loved me most. My friends, they'll see headlines, the funeral photo, the smiling face in a frame, not knowing the woman in it had been crying behind closed doors for years. Then came the darkness. Not a tunnel, not a light, just void, heavy, endless, swallowing. I reached out for something, anything, but there was nothing to hold. No warmth, no peace, just silence, darkness, and regret. I had so much more to say, so much more to be, but I gave it up, all for a man. And now, I am 6 feet below, but I linger in photo albums, in my mother's dreams, where she wakes up sobbing, in my siblings' memories, full of what-ifs. I watch birthdays without candles, laughter without me, tears. I can never dry, and if you're listening, really listening, let my voice be louder than any empty promise you've ever heard. Let my story live longer than I did, because I stayed too long in a love that broke me. I gave too many pieces of myself to someone who didn't know how to hold them. I stayed, hoping he'd change, and now it's too late. But for you, it isn't. So hear me. Don't choose suffering. In the name of love, don't hide bruises behind makeup and smiles. Don't wait for someone else to save you. Save yourself, because you are not just a wife, not just someone's option. You are fire. You are voice. You are life. And you deserve to live all of it, fully, boldly, and safely. Don't be me.